and gentlemen, welcome back to Worlds 2023, where NRG just pulled off a very impressive victory over G2 in game number 1 of this best-of-3 series. Gentlemen, a reminder of what's on the line. Whoever wins this series punches their ticket to the quarterfinals. Yep. Whoever loses this series has to go in that last chance best-of-3 during our 3-series day tomorrow.
And here's what I'll say. You know, North America, when it comes to qualifying for quarterfinals, like, often it's been tiebreakers. It's been like just clutching it out at the last minute, right?
We've had a lot of 3-3
very familiar.
Imagine you 2-0 the first seed of LEC. Like, that's got to feel pretty damn amazing as a way to qualify for the quarterfinals, especially when, after we've seen G2 beat D+, we've seen them beat Weibo, right? We saw them have a kind of competitive game against Gen G to then getting stomped, but people rate G2 higher as this tournament progresses.
Oh, yeah.
And for NRG to get a big win against them would be instrumental in kind of reselling NA to the world and saying, we are here. And it comes back to something you were telling me about Palafox, right, where he talks about where we just needed some fresh blood on the international stage, and by God, that mid-jungle is doing some work in this series.
It certainly would be big. Last time we got out of groups into the quarterfinals was 2 years ago. I will say, though, there are some very easy modifications that G2 can make in this game. I think they are still one of them? Very scary. As soon as that game ended, I was like, they are never getting Senna again. Send tweet. Yes, that is true, because G2, you know, we spent so much time talking up this bottom lane and how they've been playing through it. And we saw even in the series versus Gen G, where G2, they craft all these things in draft to try and get these advantages or these counters for their bottom lane, and both of them failing, and both of them you know, kind of sending them here. Now that G2 is on blue side, though, they have much more freedom. They target ban the Senna. And I mean, they can't target ban Contractz and Palafox from playing so well, but I will say that is probably the best or close to the best that those two have ever played. Absolutely immaculate stuff from them.
They also had a great sort of matchup with the 2v2, being up against something immobile like the Syndra. Like Betty has pointed out in the previous Champion Select, once the flash is down, Syndra is just naturally at this disadvantage against champions like Vi and the Nico. But it will be Senna, Maokai, Orianna banned out by G2, as Draven, Kalista, and Viego are banned out from NRG.
Xayah's up. Yeah. NRG is saying, ooh, you weren't expecting our Senna? Sure, you can have Xayah, but we might have something else cooked up, and I'm curious as to what that could be. Xayah, as you can see the stat on the screen, 97% presence throughout this tournament, is considered the strongest AD carry, and you just handed it over to Hansama.
And not even just looking at its absolute power, but Xayah is a counter-engage AD carry. One of the few in the game. And that's exactly what NRG want to play, is hard engage. So not only are you giving over a power pick, but it is a power pick that is exceptional at countering exactly what has been our primary goal here, and what our primary goal for NRG is showing here in 1-2 as well. With the Jarvan, with the Rakan, that guaranteed pickup. I will say Rumble is also up, so Rumble priority would go really nicely with the Rakan and Jarvan engage options for the side of NRG.
I love this Poppy answer from G2. I looked at this NRG side now, I was thinking, nice, Jarvan has been very prevalent, really good early game engage jungler in the current meta, and IgNar's Gnar, I mean, I was casting IgNar's Gnar back in 2017, like, I know how proficient he is on the champion. He's a fantastic playmaker, but it seems that G2 are really simplifying the draft. They're just getting themselves onto champions that they know can have impact. Great scaling and range for Azir. Great disengage from the Poppy. And you already talked about how Xayah is one of the best disengage support AD carries. You look at this tool, this comp rather, coming out from G2.
Yeah, they drafted 3 champions with counter engage options in the Poppy following it, as well as Azir. But that Rumble I was talking about, the insta-lock here, the no-brainer. Again, you know, Dhokla notoriously hadn't played it during the regular split, and then put in a lot of work to have it ready for LCS finals. So we'll see how well they can execute. If NRG can still force this one through, because G2 now know exactly what is coming at them.
Yeah, and hey, at least it's nice with the Rumble. You've already seen Poppy locked in against 2 champions that she can really shut down with steadfast presence. Rumble can't dash anywhere. Poppy doesn't have the same denial power against the Rumble. So cutting off at least a little bit of that as the Cassante is banned out from NRG. Remember that it was Dhokla piloting this in the previous game against the Jax of BrokenBlade. Now that he knows he's on the Rumble, he doesn't want to deal with that Cassante matchup. Nico being banned out. I respect this respect ban from G2, saying that really caught us off guard lots of times. The Pop Blossoms over and over, catching multiple players on G2, setting up these huge engages for NRG. They don't want to face it again.
So the things to think about now, if you're NRG, is this Lissandra pick from Mikyx, whether or not it's something that they actually want to go for, because during the regular season it was their answer to Rakan, alongside things like the Alistair. And also, BrokenBlade has played some crazy stuff top. He's played Swain in the regular season, he's played Kled. Usually those are things to answer into the Renekton, but I wonder if he's been cooking anything into the Rumble matchup specifically, or whether they're looking for something more generic like an Ornn. Maybe they just want a few more team fighting tools.
This is G2. I don't pay to see G2 play and want generic.
I want to doesn't stand for generic.
I want to see some real spicy stuff here. I mean, there are picks that haven't really been played into Rumble, like Jace. You know, you can play Assassins, Akali. I mean, BrokenBlade even played a little bit of Yone, but those require more offensive plays and it requires some jungle attention, so maybe not either of those. Meanwhile, on the side of NRG, Palafox going to bring out the Taliyah again. I am.
Why are you skeptical?
Taliyah is 3 and what was that? 14?
3 and 14, man. That is a really bad number.
And a couple of those wins were jungles, so I'm getting a little nervous, Savedius. But it is another champion that pairs really well with the. If you can get guaranteed engage with Jarvan and Rakan, you know, I always want a Taliyah seismic shove to be played off of something else. And the rock field will be quite nice for them as well, but man, when you're playing that into Poppy and Xayah, it does seem a bit difficult.
So one thing that I'm also noticing here, a lot of terrain creation for NRG. The Taliyah wall plus the Jarvan Cataclysm, if you aim all of these right, you can really create corridors where there
for
otherwise
Poppy to knock us into.
No,
Great.
we're trying to ignore. We're going to make a nice spicy Rumble hot pot.
Okay, yeah.
That's the play. But it will be the Ornn we were talking about. Is it going to be a spicy counter pick to Rumble, or is it a scaling team fight Ornn? And that's the pick for BrokenBlade.
Flowers! They've got 2 champions that charge into terrain now.
And one of them even breaks it.
They could break it. They could smash us, stun us into it. Well. Hopefully we don't self-counter here, Vedius.
Ooh, the Sivir, the final pick of the draft here for FBI.
Okay.
So, when I look at G2's comp, they've simplified the draft, right? That's what they've done.
Back to basics.
They've sat there and said, you know what, Xayah really strong on the meta, Poppy really good into J4 Rakan, all that mobility. We love Azir just as a mid laner, great scaling, great range. That as a core is very solid. And then what do? They padded it out with a little bit more frontline and a little bit more CC. This is very much about team fighting. This isn't about doing anything too crazy in the early game. They still have an ability to play through the bot side of the map.
Yeah.
NRG, they have a very similarly strong team fighting composition with a few more early game options, an incredibly strong top side. You look at Taliyah, gets the push, uses ults to roam up towards top. They threaten a dive onto the Ornn. A very easy access point to look for early roams. The question is, can NRG find those early game leads once again? Can they bully out caps on this Azir and find ways to unlock Palafox on the map once again?
Yeah, and honestly, how are they going to navigate such an incredible front line that G2 are fielding in this game? That is going to be the big thing they have to get over, the big hurdle here, because so much guaranteed setup for them. And the carries this time around of Azir and Xayah are incredibly safe carries.
The other concern I have is that Sivir's relatively short range. Of course, if she can get that ricochet off, it can hit into multiple people. But just if she wants to auto someone, she has to get relatively close.
Yeah.
Azir and Xayah can be very difficult champions to actually get close to. So these team fights are going to be exciting. NRG had a fantastic early game 1. Let's see if they can do it again in game 2.
All right, everybody, here we go. Game number 2 in this best-of-3 series between G2 and NRG. If NRG win this one, they're going on to the quarterfinals. If G2 win it, we're going on to 1/4. final match to decide who's going to get straight into the quarters and who's going to have to play again tomorrow. A reminder, tomorrow is the last day of the Swiss stage. We are starting earlier, 5 a.m. CET, 9 p.m. PST. Make sure you show up for that, but we still got this and then T1 versus BLG after here today.
Yeah, tell your friends, the games are starting early. We got 3 best of 3s, the final day of Swiss. People will be going home. People will be qualifying to the quarterfinals. It's going to be a hype day. And one of these 2 teams will be in that day.
Yeah.
They will have to play another best of 3 tomorrow.
You don't want to be in that day.
You do not. You want to qualify for the quarterfinals, and NRG are in a great position to do that right now. So early game, nothing too chaotic, nothing too crazy. G2 just setting up a defensive line of scrimmage to prevent NRG getting off any early invades.
I want to see what NRG can do with the top side of the map. They got Dhokla the Rumble. He's into the Ornn here. Should have priority. Contractz is on Jarvan. Such a good early game ganking jungler. Actually, one of the champions that he played last time he was at Worlds, those 6 years ago with Cloud9 as well, to some unfortunate endings.
Well, the early jungle pathing is already starting off better for Contractz in this game than it did in the previous one. We talked about how Yike was able to get a nice lead early with that Bel'Veth and the power that she has to farm so effectively, as BrokenBlade is just pushing Dhokla away from the wave here early on, making the Rumble step back a little bit.
Forge Master versus the Forge here at level 1.
Rumble is the Forge.
Who would have thought? He's got the Flame Spitter constantly on. Should be heading towards bottom there for Contractz though, so I wonder what kind of an effect Yike will be able to have early on.
Ooh, nice knock up there from BrokenBlade. Dhokla getting caught at the very back end of the slight level advantage there, level 2 versus level 1, as Mikyx going to move into the enemy jungle. Just check there, looking for that blue buff. You can see a couple of pings coming out in the enemy jungle now as Hans is still just shoving the wave forward here in bottom lane.
Yeah, information gained. They saw with the blue buff alive that Jarvan hasn't gone there yet, which means that he's likely pathing towards bot side. This means that G2 in an ideal would want to get this minion wave underneath the tower. He will lose a cannon minion there, Hans. We all saw that. The -1s are in the chat right now. You know?
But he got the blade collar.
Yeah.
But they need to be careful. Oh, another one! Wow, the LCK observer is really highlighting when you miss those cannons.
Yeah.
Calling G2 out right now. The fans, the NA fans, I hear them. And G2's mental is broken. They can't even last hit cannons.
No cannons.
All the chatters.
Look at Yike, though.
Yeah.
Hasn't quite ticked over to level 4. He sees the Dhokla's at about 50% HP, and he sees a play.
Yeah, Dhokla keeping the wave away from the turret right now. Should just be able to farm that up. Yike is not really going to find an opportunity for a whole lot just yet, but Dhokla is stepping up now. Dhokla needs to be really respectful of what could happen here. Yike biding his time, happy to stay in the fog.
Oh man, this wave pushing out for Dhokla is so scary. Oh, so
He's
scary.
suspicious. He feels something is off.
Yeah, there's the ward. That's going to see the poppy. So at least he knows now Yike is going to leave. Hansama going to get jumped on there as IgNar tries to lead the charge, but now he's got to be careful. Battle dance back to his own AD carry.
Yeah, and they know that Jarvan is bottom side, so they're definitely not going to get baited into anything longer there. No longer extended trades. You can see everybody being cautious about it. And Contractz will come over for the Raptors.
And again, just credit to Dhokla there. Just really good awareness and good communication from the team. Yike trying to get back to his Raptors as quickly as possible, but he's too late. Yep. Nice steal there from Contractz, getting a bit of revenge for the first game. And you can see he's 2 camps up now on his jungle counterparts. NRG getting a couple nice trades onto Hans in the bot lane. Of course, the sustain from IgNar helping a little bit in the 2v2 trades. And wards already being littered around the bot side of the map. So the one lane that G2 would look to play for in the early game don't have a lot of options right now.
And I like the fact that you mentioned that little bit of sustain from IgNar, because it's not nearly as severe as the sustain from the Senna in the previous game that G2 had to deal with. Meanwhile, on the top side, Dhokla hitting the overheat. 200 HP left, knocked up into the air. BrokenBlade takes him low, but he won't quite take him down.
Yeah, no ignites in the top lane, so no kills just yet. Contractz came over just to recall by their bottom lane to ensure that FBI and IgNar could get that wave in as well. Looks like they're going to stay one more. And they do cancel it for a little bit of extra money, 1 more wave's worth.
Mid laners closing in on that level 6 point. You can see not quite there just yet, but Caps' EXP bar nearly entirely filled. Palafox about halfway there. Dhokla continuing to try to get this wave to crash. He hits level 6, he has the equalizer. That should be enough to dissuade Yike and BrokenBlade from trying to do a whole lot here, I think.
Is really trying to force something topside. He's trying to catch Dhokla out, but he's just showing the utmost level of respect right now. Even though he knows Contractz is in the area and could potentially come for a counter gank, he's saying, nope, not worth it. Just going to take my time. He has a healthy CS amount right now. Things looking good for NRG.
You know, when we originally coined the term Big Dokes, is actually for his big brain, not for his big muscles.
I
but
see.
Those
the
are
brain
also
is the strongest muscle.
Now he's all encapsulating.
Brom, lie to me.
Well, Palafox, level 6 now, caps the same. Palafox with that Weaver's Wall. We know this is all about roaming. It's all about assisting the other lanes. We'll see if he can get to those lanes and try to help him out a little bit. Bottom side, you can see the purchase is done. Big difference here. Berserker's Greaves Rush from Han Sama, so he's got the extra movement speed, whereas FBI just going straight for the Noon Quiver instead.
Here's what I'll tell you now, though, gentlemen. If you're an EU fan watching this game, 0-0, 6.5 minutes in, they're happy.
Okay.
They see when G2 is in a neutral state, they have confidence in their ability to play the mid-game macro. And when we look at NRG, they look good when they get a lead, right? So the fact that they haven't been able to find that lead is definitely a comforting sign when contrast to the first game.
And now that you can see we're watching down here as these bottom laners are ready to leave and start fighting over the Drake. This is your featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz with Hans and IgNar, the former teammates, now standing opposed. But we've got Dhokla ready to TP in. They want to force G2 off of this. The Weaver's Wall comes in. They're going to find Mikyx as the isolated target, but he still has the flash to get away over the wall. BrokenBlade using the Ornn to try to get the wave shoved up, recognizing that his opponent has left. First strike of the game, 7 minutes in, goes to NRG.
Yeah, I want to point out that BrokenBlade had just used his teleport back to top side, so there was no world where G2 could fight that even numbers. That's why as soon as they see the teleport from Rumble coming down, they back off the Dragon. NRG do get the flash out of Mikyx there, but honestly, that is one of the lowest value flashes because it's, of course, a Hex Flash Nautilus, and NRG unable to trap any kills down here in addition to the Dragon, and they did give up a turret plate to BrokenBlade.
I mean, still, I think that NRG played that very well. Just good awareness as you
Yeah, I always want more, Vedius.
You always want more?
Kobe's just never had
strict.
That is disappointed, NRG, but don't worry. I like what you did. I think that being able to secure that early Dragon also just, when I think about what NRG's comp does really well, it's a very difficult comp to walk into, you know? Things like Taliyah, Rakan, Jarvan. These champs, you ideally want them to walk into you because a lot of their tools are kind of like picks, easy ways to catch you off guard, and they want to try and force champions like Azir to come within closer range of them. So the fact that they are able to quite calmly and easily force G2 off that Dragon that they were comfortably on with a great use of the TP, I think is good sign for NRG moving forward.
Yeah, especially since G2's comp, as we see a little bit of a visit.
Okay, nice knock up there from IgNar, but there's nobody close enough to do meaningful damage to Caps, so it's not like he's pressured any further than that. NRG are on the Rift Herald. They already secured the Drake for themselves. They want to use the knockback. Nicely done from Yike. He gets rid of the enemy jungler. The smite steal is so easy. TY for leash. G2 picking up their first neutral objective of the game. BrokenBlade's going to grab a plate here almost at the same time. Do the minions get it? Do the minions get it? I hate Poppy! The minions barely get it. The plate goes over to BrokenBlade.
Man, that is actually a huge swing. A lot of gold into the pockets of G2. That was a really, really good play from Yike. They had vision the entire time. You saw Dhokla flash the white flag there afterwards too because he came down, so they give another couple turret plates. They give the Rift Herald. That is so much money back into G2, which you were just pointing out, Vedius. Is a very, very sturdy scaling comp
I thought
here.
that was going to be a really scary team fight because I looked at both supports. They both ticked over to level 6 in the mid lane, and I thought, we're going to get a bit of a skirmish. And then Poppy said, no, I'm good.
I honestly, I love doing those plays, but now it's definitely frustrating to watch. Really nice accuracy there. Yike able to hit him out, and of course, a TY for leash.
And I like what you talked about earlier, Vedius, with how difficult it is to engage on NRG's comp. I think both comps are a similar way, as Mikyx and Caps are now both going in. Mikyx's taken very low, but it's first blood over to Contractz. The Jarvan gets paid.
All right, also, this is going to mean a quick push here for FBI on the bottom side. Can they catch one in the river?
Hold on now, Seismic Shove nearly finds Yike, but the last second flash gets him away. So G2, they're going to lose their support. They're going to lose the flash on their jungler. FBI shoving up bot lane now, trying to grab a plate and keep this game nice and close.
Super questionable play from Mikyx there. He literally hooked into the bush, either expecting someone to be there or with the intent of getting some vision, and then he ends up face-checking two members of NRG who are just very quick to punish him when he doesn't have his flash up. So great play once again from NRG. They get themselves their first kill of the game. The gold's still in favor of G2, but I think a lot of that gold is sitting on the top lane right now. BrokenBlade, I think he's secured, what, 3 plates? Nearly 4?
Oh, yeah.
You look at the total gold. He's the one sitting on all this gold right now. So I think that gold difference is a little bit deceptive when, even though Ornn is tanky, that's not ideally where you want all your gold in the early game.
Yeah, fair enough. He will be able to upgrade people's items pretty, well, not pretty soon. Later on into the game. So he'll be able to distribute some of those stats, at least, to the rest of the team later on. Honestly, though, as we do see the play onto bottom side.
I mean, the Rift Herald getting dropped in mid, Caps grabbing a couple of plates from that. That's where you want to see some of that money going. If you're a fan of G2, you want to see Caps be able to get ahead. You want to see this Azir on some playmaking ability, because if this guy can find the angle to really start off one of these fights correctly, both teams have so much powerful disengage that if somebody can really hit one of those huge angles, that's the difference maker. As Yike will again look into the top part of the map. Flash coming out from Dhokla. The Ornn horn goes out. It'll hit him at the last possible second. No, it won't. He missed it. BrokenBlade will not get the knockup. I don't think they would have had the damage to get the kill anyway, but Dhokla gets away with the expenditure of his flash.
Yeah, they do get that summon spell out from Dhokla. A bit of a cheeky play from Yike. Mikyx now in a bit of danger. Knockback. Nice sidestep.
Nice step away from it.
And that play on top side has pretty big ramifications for this dragon about to spawn here for NRG. Dhokla's going to teleport back to top lane right now.
He might dive this. BrokenBlade doesn't have ultimate, but he should be tanky enough this early on into the game. You'll see Yike catch the wave. Caps is going to rotate up with them, and now he's in some serious danger. No flash.
Yeah.
His stopwatch is not ready here for Dhokla.
Oh, they're not going to go for it.
Wow, they're backing away. I thought for sure they would decide to just jump in for this.
Yeah,
that could be a bot lane dive then for NRG. They took Dragon. They could even go for more.
Nice move from Dhokla there, using the equalizer to burn away the waves so he can prevent any sort of threat on himself, as NRG now overloads the opposite side. 4 players down here, Contractz and Palafox both hovering around. Palafox walks back out over the ward to leave. FBI wants to grab this second plate here real fast. Boomerang Blade to at least chunk Hans a little bit. They avoid losing the second plate. Now Mikyx with a dredge line. Follow up with a blade collar. IgNar doesn't take a severe amount of damage just yet. Yike has arrived to reinforce, make sure there's not going to be any dive instead, so we don't actually get any turret dives from either team on any part of the map just yet, but Mikyx goes fishing. He finds himself a connect. Dredge line onto FBI, who has to try to flash away. The feathers fly, and FBI will not survive. Hans Sama takes him down.
That is the EU bot lane that we've been waiting to see in this series. Mikyx lands a clutch hook onto FBI. The spell shield is used early as well, which means that it's not there to mitigate the ultimate from Mikyx, and Hans with the damage finds a 2v2 kill.
Yeah, no respect there from FBI for the lollipop of that hook from Mikyx. Nice one from him. Able to nail it and get that kill back. Let's see if that's the momentum that they actually need here, because NRG with the 2 dragons and Palafox looking for.
Ooh, Caps, nice job there using the disengage. Now Dhokla's coming down to try to stop him, but he's got to be careful. Caps still trying to get away from this one. Dhokla now finally not overheated anymore. Caps getting away. Nice movement there. Doesn't even have to spend the flash to get away from the Jarvan Cataclysm, as NRG tried to make a move, but they won't find it. Now the Ornn horn is summoned up. Contractz with a re-engage back at a Caps. They want to try to stop it, but now Dhokla's got to be careful. IgNar and Yike both making their way into the fight, as Dhokla's only got 300 HP remaining. Mikyx with another big dredge line. IgNar and Contractz over the front line. Contractz has caught Cap. Huge re-engage coming out from NRG as the Poppy disengage now might turn it back for G2. FBI has arrived, and now a seismic shove ain't quite gonna find another. NRG and G2 are making it scrappy here in the top lane.
That is really good target selection from Contractz over and over. He knows the only damage on G2 is Caps and Hans was not there, so Contractz keeps re-engaging onto the Azir to keep the DPS away, even though it looked like G2 with all these extra bodies up there, those are mostly tanks, and they don't have enough damage to take down NRG on the top side. They did, however, have plenty of damage to take them down here. This is what we're talking about. Really good hook there from Mikyx right at the end. The extendo hook is able to get him. They also got both summoners out of FBI, So not only did G2 here get the kill, Mikyx lives even with the Ignite and the minions on him, but they also got the summoners.
Very weird. I mean, Caps ends up securing the crab with his ultimate. Obviously, he's just trying to create space between him and Palafox. He's holding up. I'm not even sure if his WE is up or if he's just holding it. The ultimate from Contractz delays him from being able to get the maximum rage. And then G2 says, we see an angle. Let's throw the ultimate. Dhokla doesn't have his flash up. Let's look for a play. But as you rightly said, Contractz constantly, back in the action.
Back in the action as Mikyx and Yike gotta try to get away. Contractz with the engage on the enemy support. FBI's got the damage, but his Contractz getting the credit. Yike flashes over the wall to make sure that he doesn't die here too, and NRG find their third kill of the game.
Similarly to game one, NRG are doing a great job of finding picks. It was Palafox and Contractz working together in the first game, but now we're seeing IgNar and Contractz find these picks wherever they can, and it's Mikyx who's getting caught.
So, Contractz is again popping the hell off. He was only a couple of years ago the death leader of the LCS. What a magnificent glow up for him. Absolute masterclass, back-to-back games, really big stuff. And here again, he's going to see 2 tanks in the river, so they have the freedom to engage. FBI just pops the Sivir ultimate, and they melt down one, get the flash off the other.
In recent years, Contractz had been in conversations for the weakest jungler in the LCS at different points. He has made a miraculous resurgence to become this absolute crucial cornerstone of NRG in the games where they look their best.
Yep, and now definitely in the conversations for one of the best. Started at the bottom, now we here.
You ever seen those like reels or TikToks where like it starts with the flashback, like you are here, and then you have the dubstep at the end, like where he's at now. I can see it with the Contractz montage plays already. What a glow up from him. The gold pretty much dead even. We saw it from the MasterCard check-in that a lot of that gold sitting on BrokenBlade and Caps, where the leads are coming from right now. But after that action earlier in the top lane, perhaps that has shifted. Contractz navigating his way around the vision.
Yep. The big thing I'm looking at right here, that timer in the top right of your screen says 10 seconds until the third Drake is alive. It's going to be a Hex Soul yet again. NRG already has the first 2 Drakes of this game. G2 are not willing to just allow this third one to go away. Being on Soul Point only 18 minutes into the game is a very difficult game state to play. I wonder, how will this fight go? This could determine so much from such an even game.
Rumble ultimate is going to be massive. Caps looking for Dhokla.
Dhokla playing around the blast cone, trying to be careful. Weaver's wall over the edge. G2 are going to be equalized. Hansama goes up into the air as the Ornn is sounded off. A lot of damage. Back onto the middle as IgNar drops, but he's going to be traded for Mikyx. Support for support. Palafox goes over the wall. They burn down Yike. BrokenBlade with a knock-up back into Palafox, but now he's not able to find the damage. Han is firing off, and Caps is still alive. A diamond shovel to Caps. They found the enemy mid. NRG 4v2, but health is low. Hansama is cut to ribbons by the boomerang blade of FBI.
And NRG are going to pick up the dragon. Palafox with the flank up into the fog of war, onto the high ground, and he seismic shoved the Azir. Caps goes down, and NRG on Dragon Soul Point.
Keep your eyes on Palafox here. You already highlighted earlier, he uses the wall initially, then the E from BrokenBlade as they try to find escape. Good ultimate from Dhokla, forces the ulti out from Hansama very early on, and then the wall, I forget what it's called, but from Palafox, he lays down the ground to split G2 up, which means that their front line is separated from their back line to buy time for NRG to just get rid of the front line.
Look at this.
Mikyx drops, Poppy drops, and then they find that pick onto Caps. Great play from Palafox throughout this fight.
That control ward, Palafox knows he is in the fog of war. He kites up around onto the ledge and lands the seismic shove.
Unraveled Earth, Thaddeus. That is the bunch
That's
of rocks on the
looking
ground.
for.
Yeah. That's one of the ones that gave me trouble for a long time too, because I'm like, it's just a bunch of rocks. But yeah, Unraveled Earth, nice job. NRG managed to find their fight there. The gold still remains very close, but the big thing is the Drakes. The Drakes are now a problem for G2 moving forward in this game.
Well, they certainly are. G2 are going to be forced into the next fight. NRG could even use it as a potential Baron threat. Contractz finds himself with 100% kill participation. The young stuff in Yike from Europe came in as... Oh, hang on a second. This Herald is not going to get any value at all, is it?
No, sir.
But Yike, yeah, coming in as the replacement for Jankos. Big shoes to fill. At MSI, he had a promising performance, but in this series, his presence has been very limited. Caps finds himself at 0-2, and G2, they're crumbling. You have to wonder how much that loss in Game 1 affected them as NRG find themselves with a gold lead. Their comp feels very powerful right now.
I just want to re-emphasize, too, how crazy of a situation this is to have NRG, again, in a big lead over G2 in a series-defining game. This NRG team is built of players that were discarded by other teams, that had to work their way back up through the academy system and have come together with NRG acquiring CLG and in their first split, winning the finals as underdogs every step of the way.
But I cannot count G2 out just yet. This is a team that has shown tenacity, that has shown the ability to scrap, even win behind. BrokenBlade coming in for the knockout. Palafox is just swooped to death as Contractz is ready to bring the same back to G2. Caps falls, and now they gotta try to get Yike out of trouble. He wants to run away, but the Jarvan with the EQ flash, and IgNar ain't done. He's gonna look to see if they might be able to find something else. Nice buffer from BrokenBlade as Contractz goes in, but the equalizer comes down over the top. Contractz might just die. Huge shutdown back for Hans, but he'll fall after. Mikyx wants to get out, but FBI cuts him off. NRG get a 4-for-2 trade.
No jungler, no problem. They're going to burn down this Baron. BrokenBlade is the only one for G2. Vedius, is there a world where that Ornn teleports in and does something insane?
I think he's going to have to try, but they find this pick onto Palafox, but again, the collapse from NRG is always so good and so quick. Look at how quickly they're able to respond. Look at live, though. The Baron is going down.
Oh, Caps is there, too. They're going to force them off for sure.
All right.
They might start this. Poppy is back alive.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not going to. That could have been a window for G2. You'll see on your main screen that the chase down that comes through from NRG. I had some concerns about FBI's range, but he's being given so much space in these fights. There is zero threat on him in these engages, and he's able to clean up every single time. 2-1-6 now for the Sivir.
Man.
Big thing there is G2, again, this is just a 2 DPS comp. It is just 2 carry comp here. And with Caps going 1-for-1 under the tower there for Palafox, NRG gonna have a lot more damage dealers left for the chase down.
So, big thing here, we've been talking about Contractz, talking about his performance, 100% KP. Spear of Shojin, completed in the inventory now. This transforms Jarvan from a good champion to an insane champion. The amount of combos you can get off in a fight, as long as you're able to get auto attacks, is just oppressive.
Yep, shout out to Freak, maybe shout out to Augurin as well for the builds.
We love you, Freak.
Augurin with the rank 1 Korea, really popularizing it, but all the extra health that was added to both those items really makes him so tanky. And the cooldown is so nice on Jarvan because the E is not classified as CC, and the E is the actual gatekeeper of your combo. The Q doesn't really matter that it gets less.
Okay, Mikyx wanted to try to use the control ward there to see if they could find a pick before this crucial 4th Drake. 10 seconds. This is Hex Soul if NRG gets it. G2 need to play this fight well. They've still got the ward in the Pixel Brush, but it was sighted out. IgNar will knock that down first. As we also see NRG clear out some of the wards from that Drake pit. G2 trying to approach. It'll be Mikyx, Yike, and BrokenBlade. The Secret Service for Hans Sama. Protect the president. Do not let him fall.
I mean, it's G2 on the objective right now, but with Contractz and IgNar, look at how dark it is. The Observer's highlighting how little G2 sees. That Rumble ultimate is luring in the distance. Dhokla, he can have so much impact in these fights. Mikyx trying to zone NRG away. The Dragon will begin.
Oh, they've got that controller now on the ledge that they remember from last time. Here we go, G2.
All right. The Drake's already down to half HP. Contractz ready to challenge. Equalizer over the wall as the Ornn comes out. Finds a single knockout, but it's going to be spell shielded. Caps with a swoop on the 2. Massive engage coming up from G2 when FBI is killed. Caps is going to be traded back as we now have a 4v4. Contractz still looking to go back in. It's Palafox stealing away the soul. G2 gets a 2-for-1 victory, but it's soul back over to NRG. G2 trying to path their way up back towards the middle of the map, maybe over to Baron.
That was crazy. Even though NRG are losing the fight, Hans was untouched. They still managed, Contractz and Palafox, to combo the Dragon. Mikyx goes in!
Mikyx! He ends up sending a dredge line straight from the food delivery service. BrokenBlade, Yike, and Hans now in a 3v3. Any chance of Baron is dashed as Palafox continues looking. Might be able to find a seismic shove. He flashed forward. Palafox with a crazy play. It won't find it yet, but they'll get BrokenBlade at the very end.
The crucial thing here now is Contractz is alive, and they just got a big pick onto BrokenBlade. The Baron is now up for grabs with the Soul as well. NRG can melt this.
Caps is back alive. The Azir could have an absolutely massive play. Oh. The rocket flies by. He sidesteps away from it. Sweeper still active. Soldier in the brush, just looking to do a little scouting. It's up to the Emperor.
They have to give this up. I don't think that they can contest it.
Oh no, he walks right into the brush. Dhokla's ready to provide the damage. IgNar may just die for it. IgNar lives, Caps at 400 HP. Dhokla finally getting the heat gauge back. Caps burns, and NRG takes Soul and Baron back to back.
It is not a dream anymore. You are looking at reality. NRG are having a massive upset against G2, and it all started with this huge fight.
All right, let's take a look at it. First, they go the Taliyah wall down, and they try and Cataclysm Yike in there, but Caps comes in big for G2, sweeps them back. You see Hans free firing, and it forces NRG to scatter. It's here that they combo for the Soul. Contractz and Palafox, the coordination between those two, still able to get the critical objective for the extra Soul. And then Mikyx.
Oh, this was such a blunder from Mikyx. Nice sidestep from IgNar, but I'm not even sure what they were hoping to get off the back of that. They needed to get the reset off, and NRG chasing was the best thing. They know they have a huge health advantage. They know that Jarvan and Rumble is coming back soon. This was a huge chase, getting this pick. It resulted in a Soul, it resulted in a Baron, and it results with NRG having everything they need to 2-0 the first seed of the LEC.
They still gotta close it out. 6,000 gold up. Hex Soul in their pocket. Baron circling around them for the next minute and 45. NRG need to keep this push going. Back to what you guys were talking about earlier. It is a two-threat comp for G2. It's all about Hans. It's all about Caps. If they're gonna win, they'll have to have a massive turnaround against this NRG squad who has been team fighting beautifully.
They've been doing everything this series. NRG have come to play. Tower number 2 down in mid lane. They're gonna rotate over to the top side. We get a recall from BrokenBlade, and there go G2.
Mikyx over the wall, flash dredge line, looking to engage on IgNar. But the stopwatch means no dice. Now NRG ready to keep their own push going on. FBI keeping the Baron on the cannon minion back in the mid lane. Dhokla, Palafox, Contractz all working together here on the top side. Weaver's Wall, a beautiful tool for just making it so you can kill the turret. Mikyx's gonna be pushed back. Seismic shove, they won't kill him just yet. Ornn sounds off. Dhokla's knocked up into the air. Palafox may be under pressure. Now they're gonna find some damage on Contractz, but he won't be killed just yet. Caps is down. Dhokla unstoppable. And now Mikyx falls too. BrokenBlade will be broken in half. Yike and Hans are on the run, but they won't get far. Poppy can't live. Hans can't stop him.
The loyal, the unwavering, the faithful shall be rewarded.
It is an ace for one. Nobody thought they'd win LCS. Nobody thought they'd beat G2. It's time to change your minds. NRG win the game, defeat G2, and go to the quarterfinals.
What an upset. Betty, even as it's happening.
The beauty is, like, they didn't need your faith. They didn't need you to believe in them. They thrived in the position of the underdog, and they continue to surprise.
Take a bow, NRG. You deserve it. And as for all you co-streamers, I'll get you big box to red noses and oversized shoes. Where is the faith? NRG, 2-0 over the LEC's #1 seed, over the team that everyone had the most faith in of any Western squad.
NRG have made quarterfinals of Worlds in their first split after acquiring CLG. They win the LCS. They 2-0 the LEC #1 seed, and they are all smiles.
To hear more about it, let's head on back over to the desk.
Why would you not be smiling from ear to ear? And I have a sneaking suspicion that every single LCS fan, no matter if they got up early, if they were trying to stay up late, has such a big smile on their faces right now, because this is not only for NRG making it to the quarterfinals, but such a hit in terms of the strife that NA has had versus EU for so many years.
Let's go!
It's huge. It's huge.
Ah! And I know,
Look at
listen,
that!
G2's got a chance tomorrow to still make it. This just needs to sink in still.
Yes.
And it's incredible, actually, that NRG acquired CLG, and the last time I had this unreal feeling was when CLG won their first split back in Madison Square Garden in 2015 of the LCS. It's been 7 or 8 years. NRG, first-time Worlds participant, Palafox, Dhokla, and the way they played today was without fear. It was without history, basically. They didn't let any of the demons of North America come back and bite them, and they frickin' did it. I am so unbelievably proud of the way they played, and it still doesn't feel completely real to me.
It's gonna sink in, I think, and the good thing is that they can let it sink in, because they have now earned the honor of taking a few days to kind of look at what they have achieved. Maurits, a couple of words about this last game specifically. Even though it was a little slower in the beginning, Dhokla also never let up.
It's for me, NRG have been able, and I really want to tie this into bigger perspective, as mentioned, specifically that they're never afraid. And I think that, as you know, Dhokla personifies this very much outgame as well. But to me, Contractz and IgNar were absolute master classes today. Like, I was so impressed, and I think Contractz we'll talk about a little bit more.
Yeah.
But IgNar, to me, coming up, right, with the amount of setup that he found here today against his old teammate. He even flashed the Misfit sign as the Nexus fell. And, you know, back then, Misfits, they got close, but they weren't able to actually get the upset. The fact that NRG, a team that wasn't supposed to win their own league, does it against G2, who, and I include myself in this, like, I love chaos. Coming into the day, I was like, if RNG wins, that's cool. Or NRG, rather. But the fact that they actually do it, and in a 2-0 is so insanely
it's so
impressive.
Crazy. It's not even a 1-2. It's not even, I think, that you had to be really too afraid.
It's their specialty. Nobody believes in them, and then they dunk on you. That's just what they do. Their draft prep has been so good, and I know I should have put in an official graphics request for this, but this is one of the reasons that North American fans can be so happy right now. Teams that have actually made it out of the group stage or the Swiss stage, 0-0-0-1, and it was a 2-4 Cloud9 who won a tiebreaker, and now NRG, who has done it in the most convincing fashion since maybe the last 2 times ago we were in Korea, 2014, like
maybe in terms of the score and the result, for sure. You could argue opponents, of course, you know. But I have this guy on my desk. I actually had him on my desk since yesterday, and we saw Fairy Tale last year at Worlds. It was the biggest one we could have gotten, but I am actually bought into what I'm seeing transpiring in front of my eyes right now. And I'm not going out on a limb saying, yeah, they're going to win their quarterfinal, but it's you couldn't write it any better, you know, up against it in NA. Then, yes, they did well, of course, in the first stages of the Swiss stage. People would say they didn't have the hardest draw, but nobody's going to argue that this was a mountain to climb.
They did not have the hardest draw, and I'm fully willing to admit that, but there's been so many draws where the #1 seed from North America gets the hardest group, so it's about damn time they get an easy group. So here, they beat 2 EU teams, they beat an NA team, but they 2-0'd the strongest Western team who'd actually beaten 2 Eastern teams to earn their spot. I do want to correct myself, and they did get out in 2018.
Yes,
How could I forget? It's because they got 3-0'd by EU, and I blocked that from my memory in the semifinals, but this one felt different. I can't wait.
Freaka.
I can't wait.
It was a freaka, indeed. When it comes to the graphic, I don't know if we can pull it up on the Telestrator by any chance, but
probably.
See, G2 was a team that came to Worlds also with everything in their back pocket that they set out to improve, right? That they said, we do not want a repetition of what happened at MSI. We want to make it happen. Now, you actually had the red carpet, they even called it like that, laid out for you, and you fumbled the bag tremendously. And tomorrow, these are the teams you may have to face.
Yeah, and they'll also play the loser of this game is going to be dropping into that, so they can play anyone. It doesn't matter if it was a 2-1 team or a 1-1 team. Everyone in that 2-2 is put in the same pool, and they'll play a best of 3 literally tomorrow. And the biggest questions they have to answer were not proven to be power points for them in this series. It's that 80 carry meta. The bans of Kalista Draven work great. The Xayah didn't work great for Hansama.
It didn't.
And they have less than 24 hours to remedy that.
They do. Thank you for that, schedule makers. Kind of whack, but you got to play tomorrow. But the Oppo player of the series was Contractz. Oh, Jat, just lay out the story for me again.
I mean, there are days where Contractz is literally the best player in the game, and that happened today. His Vi, so incredibly active. They were one-shotting people, but notice how he's always coordinated with his teammate. I'd say as well, as this freezes for a second,
it's just ours, I
his
think.
Jarvan in the second game was more impressive to me than his Vi in game 1. He had so many perfect turns in situations where you could feel scared. 3v4s, team fights that looked like they wouldn't go NRG's favor, and he was the turning factor in almost all of them.
And particularly for me is that if, especially like game 1, you can attribute, and I think as we mentioned, in a large way to good preparation and then executing your draft very cleanly. But in game number 2 in particular, I think Contractz, more so than anyone else on his team, also felt the hesitation and the fear set in for G2.
Yeah.
And I think that is where being the favorite to this extent is something that can work crippling.
It's so dangerous, and they saw one man over and over again. Big
kept
Dokes.
coming!
Big Dokes.
The Rumble Ultimates.
Yes, and he's standing by with Lore in the Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you so much, Shox. NRG defeat G2 here in what was maybe the biggest upset of the tournament. But Dhokla, first off, thank you so much for joining me. Congrats on taking them down. Can we even call this an upset, given how good you guys played today?
I mean, I have a lot of respect for G2 and their players.
Yeah, sure.
But I think we just showed up on the day, and I think they just had an off day. But I don't think, I mean, I would still consider an upset, but I don't want to like diminish how good G2 is. I think we just played really well as well.
Some praise needs to be said, though, because I keep on hearing we showed up on the day, the power of friendship, having the right momentum and everything, but you guys keep on doing it. Any explanation on the performance you had so far, and how far do you think you can take this, Dhokla?
I don't know. I think we just are a completely different team on stage compared to Scrim, so I don't really know what to attribute it to at this point. Yeah, just really happy we got the win.
If I may, I heard backstage that you guys had some scrims versus G2 and that they were not representative of what you saw today. How different do you play on stage, and what is it down to, would you say?
Yeah, I don't know what it comes down to. We play completely different. I'm pretty sure I don't think we won a single game against them in scrims. So relate that to what showed up today. It's like, I don't know what to attribute that to.
Yeah.
I mean, the games were like some close, some complete stomps. But nothing like today that we just played. And I don't know, we just are a different team on stage. That's all I can say.
Well, tell me about your performance today then. We saw that after the draft of first game, Soaz was talking to you, former top laner, of course, coaching you right now, maybe positional coach. What is the relationship between the two of you, and how much of guidance can you take from Soaz?
Yeah, I mean, he's always, giving me advice, matchups, just visualizing the game. Pointing out what I need to do, mistakes. I mean, he has so much experience, so I'm really, happy that he's coaching me, and I'm really glad he's on our team. He's very valuable to us, and me especially, so yeah, he's a GOAT.
You made it to quarterfinals. You
Yeah.
made it to
Oh
quarterfinals.
my God, it actually hasn't sunk in yet.
So tell me how it makes you feel. Like, what is the first thought that comes to your mind when you realize that you're going to take it to the next step? And what is going to be the next goal for you, Dhokla?
I mean, I'm really happy that we showed up for NA. I think that's like the biggest thing for me personally. Just it's a really big accomplishment for us and the region itself. So I think I'm really proud of that. And then I honestly don't know what to expect going to quarters. It's just whatever happens on the day happens on the day. That's kind of the mindset I have.
Let's not jinx it.
Yeah.
It's been well for you so far, so I hope you can keep on getting the ball running. Dhokla, thank you so much for the interview. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back for the second series of the day. See you soon.
On the Rift Herald, they already secured the Drake for themselves. They want to use the knockback. Nicely done from Yike. He gets rid of the enemy jungler. The smite steal is so easy. I hate Poppy! The minions barely get it.
Nice, Poppy no flash. Look is here! Okay, Look is here! I'm coming, guys. I'm coming. I'll flash. Together. Play back. They don't see me. Look is here. Yeah. Oh,
BrokenBlade will be broken in half. Yike and Han are on the run, but they won't get far.
A team against a king. Seeing against believing. A moment against a moment for the ages. Countless battles, one arena. The realm. The only thing capable of powering the game, the stage, the broadcast, and the worldwide spectacle we know and love. AKA the Cisco Network.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Unlock extra loot with the Worlds Event Pass. Every Event Pass purchase will add to the prize pool for Worlds 2023. There's a lot to celebrate at this time of year.
Huh? What is this?